Hawkins today. So, yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Easton, president of the Claire Booth Luce Policy Institute, an organization named after the very pro-life Claire Booth Luce. Welcome to those of you here in Washington, D.C., and those in the C-SPAN audience all over America and all over the world. Welcome to the March Conservative Women's Network Luncheon. Thank you for being with us today, and a special thanks to our partner, the Heritage Foundation, and Bridget Wagner here for co-hosting the Conservative Women's Network with us every month. Now I am so pleased to introduce today's speaker, Kristan Hawkins, the president of Students for Life of America. As president, Kristan directs the mission and strategy of the organization and has more than tripled the number of campus pro-life groups in the United States. She has grown Students for Life's national conference to become the biggest pro-life conference in the nation. This year, she authored Students for Life of America's first book. It's called Courageous: Students Abolishing Abortion in This Lifetime. A great book, and we're going to be selling them outside afterwards. Kristan serves as the organization's official spokeswoman and has appeared on many TV networks, including Fox, CNN, Christian Broadcasting. She blogs for lifenews.com and has also been quoted many times in national and regional papers, including the Washington Times, the Washington Post, and many others. And under her leadership, Students for Life of America has launched several successful investigations into Planned Parenthood, with Kristan herself going undercover on several occasions. Previously, she worked for the 2004 Bush-Cheney re-election campaign and the Republican National Committee. She also served as an appointee in the George W. Bush administration at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Center for Faith-Based and Community Initiatives. Since high school, Kristan has been an advocate for the unborn, and I hope you're going to tell us a little bit about that. In 2005, she graduated summa cum laude from Bethany College in West Virginia, where she majored in political science with the hopes of becoming a full-time pro-life activist, and she did. She lives in Manassas with her husband, Jonathan, and her two sons, Gunner, who's 4, and Bear, who's 3. Don't you love those names? Gunner and Bear. You know, the battle for the lives of unborn children is an emotional one for most of us, for many people, on both sides of the issues. For me, the last couple of months, I have really enjoyed looking at sonogram pictures of these 2 precious little babies. I'm about to become a grandmother this summer of twins. Those babies are human beings, and they are so beautiful. They're already so distinctive. They're just at about 5 months, and they move around, and they push each other. It brings it home. It really brings it home, the passion we have for this when they're in your own family, your own babies about to be born. Over recent years, I've seen more and more people, both young and not so young, shifting over to the side of respect for unborn life. And I believe that Kristan Hawkins has been a critical part of the swing of that pendulum. Please join me now in welcoming Kristan Hawkins.
That's so exciting, twins. I remember when I got my first ultrasound with my son. I think the ultrasound machine was messing up, and I was very early in my pregnancy. And they were like, "We see 2 yolk sacs." And then, do you have twins in your family? I was like, "No!" I was in a panic. I can't imagine having 2 twin Gunners running around the house. It would be kind of crazy. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about the pro-life generation and then go into why we wrote the book and introduce you to some of the people who are featured in the book. You know, 41 years ago, 7 men not too far from here, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of a 27-year-old, relatively unknown lawyer who actually had an abortion in college named Sarah Weddington. They ruled in her favor in the Roe versus Wade case. Along with its companion, Dovie Bolton, they both legalized abortion in all 9 months of pregnancy in our country for whatever reason. Most people in America actually, I have to repeat this, in all 9 months. Most people in America do not realize that today abortion is legal in all 9 months. You know, today I'm a 27-year-old, and I was reading about Sarah Whittington, her fight to get Roe v. Wade up to the Supreme Court, and I thought it was very interesting. I'm the same age as she is. And all of us who are sitting in this room today, if we were born after January 22nd, 1973, all of us are survivors of those two decisions. Each and every one of us could have been aborted for $350. When our mothers were pregnant with us, they told our moms that we were nothing but a blob of tissue, that we didn't matter. Today, sadly, Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider in the country, they tell us the same exact thing. But the undeniable fact is that this generation is a pro-life generation. Every poll that's been taken in recent years shows that this is the first youth generation since the handing down of Roe v. Wade and Doe versus Bolton that actually polls pro-life. This is counterintuitive to what many of us are told and what many adults think. They think, oh, the millennials, the youth generation, they're always going to be liberal in every single issue. It's not until they grow up, get a job, and pay that first paycheck, and have kids, they're going to start to become more conservative on these issues. That's not actually the case with abortion. There was a poll done last year by the Gap organization that showed that this generation is actually more pro-life than our parents' generation. And I was reading a study not too long ago by 2 professors at Georgetown University, and it was really interesting. They're pro-abortion, so they're in favor of legalized abortion, and they were talking about this mysterious case of the disappearing pro-choice generation, because they showed that the attitudes of this generation towards abortion and the attitudes of the generation coming up behind us, those in high school and middle school, are the most pro-life youth generations ever. And that these generations actually will trend throughout their whole life pro-life. And they don't know where they're going to find the pro-choice side of the equation. You see, Miss Whittington, when she was here in Washington and when the Supreme Court legalized abortion, they got it wrong. They pegged abortion as a women's rights issue, attempting to fix what they saw as inequality in the workplace and in the society. What they ended up doing was setting in form the ultimate act of discrimination. The ultimate act of discrimination. Where you can decide to take the life of a person simply because how old they are and where they live. They pitted the rights of the mother versus the rights of her child. So, why is this generation pro-life? How do we write this book about pro-life generation, how we're going to abolish abortion? Well, some of us, not many people in the room, I'm feeling kind of old, even as a 27-year-old, some of us were born during the big hair bands of the 80s, some of us during the grunge rock bands of the 90s, but we've seen abortion develop differently through our lives because we've all seen the ultrasounds of our brothers and sisters. Ultrasound has always been available for us. There's never been any, oh, it's just a blob of tissue, right? We all have gone to Google at one time and typed in the word abortion. Many of us have seen the bloody pictures of those who've been killed from abortion. And we all know someone who's had an abortion. Almost 1 in 2 women will have at least one abortion in their lifetime. We all know someone who's had an abortion. And we all know it hasn't made her life any better. So this is how we come to this pro-life generation. Now, was anybody out to March for Life this year in Washington? With 650,000 other people? Did you all see the overwhelming majority of those who were here at the March for Life were youth? They were under 25. If you looked at the media coverage from the day, the New York Times, Fox News, CNN, even MSNBC, they had young people holding "I am the pro-life generation" signs. I couldn't help but wonder when we were marching up Constitution and right before it started to snow, what Nancy Keenan, what Cecile Richards, what was Planned Parenthood and NARAL thinking as they saw this entire generation march up Constitution Avenue? What they were seeing was their support for their cause slip away. And actually, they're already seeing it. When Nancy Keenan, she was a former president